That's enough.
This is a chance. This is a chance. I was young and crazy.
Time for something.
This is the funk bass your mom will appreciate.
Getting slapped upside your head with only the best in bang and funk. It's FunkFellasRadio.com.
Are we getting funky? 1, 2, 3, 4, hit it!
All right, everybody, this is DJ Medina. This is August 5th, Wednesday, hump day. And you know, today I have a special show because I have somebody on that's involved in things that's other than music, other than being a comedian, being an activist. We have someone here today that I think, with everything's going on and what we're all going through right now, I think that the person that I have on, which I've told everybody about through promotion and whatnot, she is an individual who is definitely somebody who's into healing. She's an intuitive. She's an Astro-Tarot card reader. She is clairvoyant. And she is just absolutely one amazing, gifted person that I think that right now we need a lot more of with what's going on, whether it's having hard times at work, dealing with COVID, dealing with relationships, dealing with a lot of things that are unknown. And sometimes, you know, we look to our religion and sometimes we don't always get what we want. So without further delay, we have here Nikki Supreme. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks. I appreciate you taking time to be on this show, Funk Fellas Radio. I know that you're not an artist, but to me, you are an amazing person. So I'm glad that you took time to be on this great show.
No, thank you. I'm very grateful for this. You know that. I'm very, very appreciative. Thank you.
Yes. So I'm going to give people a little bit of background here. Me personally, you know, I'm raised Catholic, big time Catholic. And, you know, I, over a period of time, you know, growing up, you know, people talk about spirituality and people who have these gifts and whatnot. And, you know, me being Native American, on my Native American side, a lot of the family is very much intuitive and believes in a lot of that. And I really blocked that for many years, many years. And so what has happened is that I think I've opened up myself more and realized that there's a lot more out there. And there's a lot more, a lot of things that people have gifts of. And you know what? And that's one of the reasons why I have you on the show, because I've known you and what you do, and it's really, really caught my attention. And I, you know, personally have dealt with you and work with you. And I know that you're one person who's definitely gifted. And that's one of the reasons why I have you on this show. I think someone like you right now is pretty important to have on. So, you know, I want to kind of tell me a little bit of what you do.
Well, I don't really want to label myself as a witch.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stigma in that, but I'd like to refer to myself as a spiritual consultant. You know, right now, especially with COVID, this is times that nobody knows what's going to happen from day to day.
Mm-hmm.
We're all kind of just living day to day, seeing what, you know, we really don't even know much about COVID itself. So I like to assist people with things like that, relationships advice, you know, parenting. Many people may or may not know I actually am a mom. I have 3 children.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm able to relate to a lot of people based off of my own experiences, and I want to really just help people get through certain situations that they may need help with. And I also want to just help women empower one another, and I just want everybody to love one another. I know that sounds really cliche, but there's so much love to be going around.
Yes.
I think that if, you know, people were to, I think I went off on a fucking tangent.
It's okay.
But yeah,
exactly. No, it's all about love. That's why you do what you do, right?
That's what I do. I just want people to, find the strength within themselves. We were all born with gifts.
Yes.
And we all have magic within ourselves. And I want to help everybody tap into their own magic and be able to better their lives.
Yeah. And I'll let people know that I know people personally that have talked to Nikki and who have actually really, really learned a lot about themselves and things to do because of her. That I've seen it. I mean, a lot of people might say, oh, I don't know if I believe in that. Are you sure? No, personally myself, I know people very close to me that have talked to her, and she's guided, and it's amazing because there's things that she knows about people that I know about them, that she's been able to be spot on about, which is not easy to do. So I'm one of those people that I've actually now, I really, really believe in what you do. Like, I know I believe in this, but to know, hey, does that Nikki know what she's doing? Yeah, you do. You definitely know what you're doing. So, let me ask you this. I'm sure growing up until now, I know, of course, you didn't wouldn't come out of the womb and like, hey, I know I'm going to do this and do that. So at one point in time, did you realize that you had special gifts and wanted to use them?
Well, I was raised Catholic. My dad is from the Philippines, my mom from Massachusetts. But growing up, I was shoved down my throat with Catholicism. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I went through divorce that I was able to, I felt, okay, Catholicism has helped me this far, but there's so much more for me. There has to be more for me. I've always kind of felt drawn into occult type things, and I always loved watching witchy style movies. And I was always pulled into astrology, but then I always felt like, oh, I'm going to go to hell because I believe in this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So once I stumbled up into a little metaphysical shop, and my very first stone that I got was bloodstone, which I still have, and it kind of just expanded from there. I thought, life can't just be Catholicism. There's so much more, and there's spirits everywhere, and I always felt like I always had spirits around me, and my grandparents were around me, and it just, to me, it made sense. Yeah. It doesn't make sense to everybody, and that's okay, because that's not their path.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own path, and this was mine. So it went from doing angel oracle cards to Astro-Tarot cards, to tarot cards, to different oracle decks. I use a lot of tools of divination, but what got me on my path was being broken down. I had to rebuild myself. Yeah. And this is the path that I chose.
Yeah. So when you realize a lot of this and this, your eyes were open. So I take it that this was really a way to help self-improvement first.
It was, at that time I had 2 children, and I had to do what was right for me and for my children, and what felt natural and what felt like it was going to help us get through what we were going through. And, this is what worked for us.
Yeah. Yeah. And let me ask you this, during this time, were you trying to, at the same point when you're going through this, were you also trying to go through Catholicism for that? And kind of, did you find like you just weren't getting where you needed to get?
With Catholicism, I think it's a great staple. I believe in God. I believe in the power of prayer. I think prayer is beautiful. Mm-hmm. But that's only part of my arsenal. You know what I'm saying? I have Catholicism, I have God, I have my ancestors, I have my spiritual guides, I'm not just a Catholic. You know what I'm saying? I have more in my tool bag that I can utilize and help with certain situations, if that makes sense. Yes.
So that's amazing, because a lot of people can go through their whole life and not really find themselves spiritually. You know what I mean? So it's really good that you've been able to find that for yourself and find out where, and kind of open up your eyes and open up your heart and open up your soul to a lot of this. So I think that's very commendable. I mean, that's one thing. It's because as I know you, I know you're not someone who's confused about anything, which is good. Yeah. You know where you're at. So here you are. You're learning some of this stuff, whatever. So how was it progressing that to the point you started realizing that this was for you and that you had, you've opened up your mind to a point that you could start helping other people?
Well, so, I going through my divorce, I'm going to this metaphysical shop, and I start getting readings, and I just kind of become like a reading whore, and I start getting readings from everybody, just like 2013-ish, and all my readings were saying that I had gifts, and I was like, what are you talking about? I don't understand, how do I have gifts? I haven't had them my whole life, and you're going to tell me I have gifts?
Yeah.
And it kind of, it goes back to where when my first was born in 2008, I started to see things and I started to feel things, but I kind of pushed it aside because I was like, oh, maybe it's because I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
And more than one reading, it came out that my grandma had gifts. And I was like, okay. So I went and I talked to my eldest uncle because he's the one that he knows more. He's the oldest of, all my dad's siblings. And I went and talked to him, and he said that, my grandma, my Lola, she's from the Philippines. She comes from a lineage of sorcerers and psychics. And that when I was little, my grandmother binded me so I wouldn't have anything. So when she passed away, I was pregnant, and everything came back to me, and it's crazy because every once in a while I'll have a flashback from when I was little, from when I used to see my guides, or just little things that I'm like, oh my God, I remember that. I brushed it out, or it was completely wiped from my memory. So that's kind of where I was like, okay, I do have gifts. And now in order for me to, grow, I really did have to trust spirit and have faith that this was my path, and that I did I wasn't making this shit up. I wasn't crazy. Everything I saw was real when I was younger, and the things that I see now as well.
Yeah. And the crazy thing that I'm just thinking about when listening to you is you already were told you had gifts, but if it wasn't for your grandmother passing, do you think you would have been able to know you had those gifts had you not had those readings that you had gifts?
I think that at some point she would have told me, as I got older, because being young, my children are gifted as well. And having to help them go through the things that they see or the things that they feel, because, being empathic is a gift as well. Being able to see how others feel, it's not easy. I'm grateful. I'm kind of grateful in one way that she did, because that would have been really hard for me. Yeah. Especially growing up Catholic, right? Yeah, definitely. Because my mom and dad are so Catholic. Because I know my grandma wasn't a full-on practicing thing. It was more she just kind of would tell people certain things, but she didn't practice like I practice. I have candles and the whole shebang, and I have 4 or 5 different altars. But in the other aspect, it would have been cool because I could have already, known of these gifts. I would have been able to grow with them at the same time. But, everything happens as it's supposed to, and this was my path.
Now, let me ask you something. I'm gonna jump back for a moment. Now that you know what you know and know that the gifts that you have, are you able to go back in time and remember things and go, oh my God, that's what this was, and I didn't realize it? Whether certain situations that you can go, There's certain things that for instance, seeing my guides. I remember my guides when I would play with certain toys, I named my guides or my toys, and it turns out that those are my guides' names. And I'm like, okay, well, that's kind of weird, but it makes sense because they were there with me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
timing, you know, you have to have faith in divine timing, and that's what it was. For whatever reason, this is how it was supposed to be introduced to me.
Yeah. That's crazy. Do you? I mean, and also if you go back in time too, how was your attitude when let's say you go back like 15 years or 20 years, and someone told you, oh, so and so has gifts, and someone's whatever. What was your whole idea about people like you now, back then?
In my let's see, let me rewind my age. So out of high school.
So when you were 2 years old, this game.
So 20 years ago I was 18.
Okay.
And you know, I wasn't even like really even thinking about spirituality, or like, I was raised Catholic, but come 18, I was like, whatever, like everybody does what they want to do. Like, it wasn't like a focal point, you know, like I was more in my early 20s, or when I was 18, I was just out of high school. I moved out of school, right? Like, from high school, I moved in with my boyfriend at the time, and I was just trying to like have a life. And to be honest, unfortunately, like, Catholicism didn't even make its way there. Like, I don't want to say I was non-denominational, but I was a non-practicing spiritual human.
Yeah. You had basically like the foundations of belief of God, prayer, and all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't. So, you know, and it's not. I've always been open-minded. So, you know, whatever made everybody happy, that's great for them. Like, I really don't care. Like, I just do, you know, my thing that works for me, and whatever works for them works for them. Yeah. So, I mean, I think this is great. And me, I'm trying to understand a lot of this. I mean, to me, I'm an open-minded person. I'm the kind of person, at first I might be a little bit like, I don't know quite yet, but my mind's open until I can see and start seeing for myself. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. So some of my listeners are probably wondering, and I know I'm wondering, so maybe at the same point, we all get educated. So let me go into this part. Okay, so let's talk about being intuitive. Okay. Mm-hmm. Being intuitive, what does that mean to you, being intuitive? And so people ask, like, okay, she's intuitive. What does that mean? Really mean? We know what it means in the dictionary, but in aspects of what you do, what's the definition for you?
So for me, like, especially when I'm in a reading, you know, because it's my readings, I'm an intuitive reader. Mm-hmm. So I go based off of, it's not just so much my gut feeling, it's going off of spirit. Mm-hmm. I trust myself, I trust in the process, I trust in what spirit's showing me. And that to me is intuitive. Like, you know, if I get a certain card and it's the death card, it doesn't mean you're going to die. Yeah. You know, intuitively speaking, and it can either be death, it could be transformation, it could be, you know, it can be many things, but usually it's the death card is all about rebirth and finding who you are. And if you pair it up with another card, you have to kind of just like trust the feeling that you're getting, trust that it's coming from spirit. Like, yes, I'm gifted, but I'm a messenger for spirit. I work for spirit, but by no means am I able to like tap into people's brains and like plant seeds. Like, that's not how this works. Yeah, and it works based off of trusting yourself, trusting your relationship with spirit. Yeah. And so, it comes from trust and trusting yourself and trusting your relationship.
So that makes sense. And you know, let me ask this: are there different like grades of people, how intuitive they can be? You know, I mean, is it just being intuitive, like just a blank statement, or is there different levels of being intuitive?
To be honest, this is my own belief. I think everybody is intuitive to an extent. Mm-hmm. You know, I think everybody has that ability within themselves. I think that some people are more intuitive than others. And that's based off of, you know, accepting their feelings that they have, you know, trusting themselves. It's based off of their relationship with their own, you know, guides and spiritual team. And I think that sometimes, you know, unfortunately, there's people who are intuitive and they use it they use the shadow aspect of it. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
their intentions aren't good.
Yeah.
But I think everybody's intuitive. I think that, you know, just because somebody's been doing it for 50 years doesn't necessarily mean that their intuition is better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that every reader is gifted, and sometimes not everybody is going to resonate with me, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not, you know, but I think that everybody's intuitive for sure.
Yeah.
And I think everybody's gifted, to be honest.
It's one of those things that it's like you don't know you're gifted unless you open up the door to find out, you know?
unless you want to, unless that's something that, you know, I agree completely.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll move on to the question I have is, so how do tarot cards fall into all this? How does that work when you do your readings? I've always been kind of, I wish I knew a little more about that. And I'm going to give you an example real quick that I've been through, and we'll talk about this a little bit. Years and years ago, you know, I worked in the ER at the time. I was working, you know, graveyard. This is 2001, I think, around that time. And we had another nurse come in, and she was covering. Okay, and she was talking about how she's someone just like you, pretty much exactly the same. And so, you know, me at the time, I'm a little closed-minded, you know what I mean? And she's like, let me give you a reading. And me, I'm like, no, I'm Catholic. No, she goes, no, let me give you a reading. And she was, I feel like I need to give you one. And I go, okay. So here I am on my break. I'm like, yeah, okay, shoot. So she goes ahead and does my cards. Right. And of course, me, I see the death card come up, and of course I'm freaked out. You know what I mean? Of course, that's my like, oh my God. Right. So she pulled my cards out and she's talking to me, but I'm getting kind of interrupted. Okay. And this is a woman who knows nothing about me. I've barely met her for the first time. No one in the emergency room knows her. She's just a nurse that's working with the registry to come in and cover because we needed help, you know? And she started telling me quite a few things. And it's really weird because she started telling me about my father, that he had passed away. She started telling me that I needed to be careful because I have or had the same ailment that he's had, which was true. It was cancer. I had cancer. He died of cancer, same cancer. And then she started going on with that my wife that I had at the time, that it was basically a marriage that it needs to end. And I'm looking at her like, what the heck? I got to tell you, I was a little stunned. You know what I mean? Like, and then she said something that had to do with bringing up the future. So she's talking to me and she goes, you're going to have some complications this year. You really need to be careful. It's going to be a rough year. And I'm thinking, oh, okay. And she just kind of said, there's something wrong with you. There's an ailment are you having surgery or something? Well, you know what? She didn't know it, but I was going to have surgery in 2 months. And she was telling me, you really need to take care of yourself. You need to do this. You need to do that, whatever. So she's talking to me, and I'm looking at her, and I'm have that look in my face, like, yeah, sure. You know that look, like, okay, sure. Yeah. So she puts the cards away, and she's shuffling them, and she's talking, whatever. And she walks towards out of the room, and then somebody bumps into her, and all the cards fell on the floor. Now, all the cards that she read me were upwards, and all the other cards were down. So she looked on the ground and she goes, oh my God, all your cards are here. And then she just looked at me and she just said, I want you to know that you're a very strong personality. You have a very strong, you're gifted in something. She goes, but I'm telling you need to be careful what's coming up. It's not death or nothing like that. I don't do that. She goes, but I'm telling you. Well, 2 months later, I had knee surgery and it went bad, and it took me 2 years to recoup from it.
Wow.
And to me, it's always been really, that part was kind of like, I guess it's been in my mind for such a long time, because she talked about other things. Of course, I don't want to bring all that up on the radio. This is your interview, you know what I mean? But she brought up some stuff that really hit home to me, and she was not wrong. And I think that was a turning point for me, where I kind of went like, maybe there are people that have these powers, because here I am sitting at home, almost getting ready to lose my leg and going through all this, and I'm remembering everything that she talked to me about. And then I finally got fed up, and I got a divorce about 5 years later. And so all these things, and of course my dad, the cancer and everything like that, everything fell into place what she was talking about. And so how does it work with the cards? How when you do your readings, you know, I know each card has a certain thing, whatever. Tell us a little bit more about the cards so we can understand. I want to understand because I'm still like in awe of it.
Well, what can I say? My readings are a little different. I do astrology and tarot, so it's a fusion of both. I like to look at the astrology chart, and I like to pull cards, and I use a pendulum as well in my readings.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I my mind kind of goes everywhere. But when you're pulling cards, well, for myself, okay, so when I pull cards, you know, I know what, like, the basic meaning is of each card, okay? But when you see them collectively, you get a different message, if that makes any sense. This card means, you know, abundance, this card means inner conflict, and this card means strength. So you have to, you know, when they all come through, you know, and then you pull some extra cards to see, okay, well, is this regard to work? Is this regard to finance? Like, everything is kind of a blueprint, just like your astrology chart. It's all a blueprint. But there's more, you know, that's just scratching the surface. There's a lot more that comes through. So when I pull cards, I pull the cards and I see what they say, and then I talk, like, my guides come through and they tell me more. Like, I you know, I kind of probably look like a mental person when I start having a conversation in my head, but it's just I'm asking questions and I'm getting more clarity through the situation when certain cards come up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any of that makes any sense,
it does.
But it made sense to me.
You know what? It's basically to me, it's basically what it is. It's like when you put all the cards together, when it's all put together, it's basically a puzzle finished, is what you're saying in a way.
It's very similar to that.
You know
that you know
that they work they work in correlation with each other, like you said.
Do.
Yeah. Okay.
They do. So, and I like to infuse astrology. You know, one of my guides is very into astrology. So I've been pulled into the astrology world, and I also in my readings I use a pendulum that has the zodiac houses. There's 12 zodiac signs, and I also use I infuse with my tarot readings an astrology deck. So it definitely is it hits the you know, the tarot aspect, but it also has the astrology aspect. So I think that's what separates me from a lot of just tarot readers, is that it's an infusion of astrology and tarot.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Is that something that you just kind of fused on your own, or is this how you were taught, or it just became natural for you to just do that?
I was kind of like old to infuse them, let's put it that way. I was kind of instructed to infuse them together. So I sat with my guides, my teams, and I started pulling cards, and I started, you know, I was asking them, how can I make this work? And this works. So I don't know, it just happened. And, you know, everybody has their own way of doing things. I've known of some readers who draw like a stick figure and hold a pendulum over the body, and they find out like where you're sick.
Yes. Oh,
like,
I've seen that. Yes.
So many gifted people, and you know what works for, you know, me might not work for you, and you know, vice versa. But there's always somebody out there that can read for you that you can resonate with.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. Those cards, real quick, I don't know, where did those cards come from? Because it's like, I always see those cards and they're exactly the same thing. I mean, do you know like how far back those cards go, or how they came to be?
Oh man, I think the Rider-Waite is like the original deck, and I really don't even know how long the tarot cards. I don't know the history of that. But now there's just so many different types of decks. Like there's, you know, the tarot decks, there's the oracle decks, there's the Lenormand deck. People, sometimes I'll even use playing cards,
Mm-hmm.
and I've just started learning how to read loteria cards. Okay.
Oh, wow,
so
really?
we can do loteria readings for everybody.
I'm like, oh no, I got the borracho card. What does that mean? I'm going to get drunk tonight?
Yeah, that's exactly what it means. But yeah, so like divination comes in all forms.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, people read cups, the tea leaves, people read smoke, people read candles. Like, spirituality is beautiful, and it's endless on how many ways you can grow.
Wow. And and I'm going to dive into another one because it kind of goes when you talked about your spiritual guides and whatnot. And the one thing that I read about it, I know a little bit about it, and sometimes I wonder if it's something that I put in the back of my mind or ignore. But let's talk about being clairvoyant. Okay, so tell me how that works with you and how you realize you were clairvoyant and how you use it in your readings.
So first of all, clairvoyance is for people who don't know, it's knowing.
Mm-hmm.
You have no proof, right? You have no proof. You just know.
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, a lot of people think I'm crazy, and that's okay. I'll hold that title. I'll hold that title with honor.
A lot of us have that title.
Crazy knows crazy.
Yeah.
So, I do I like when I meditate, I talk to my guides and they show me things, and, how do I put this? There's a lot of skeptical people.
Yeah.
And so let's say I have a good friend and she asks me something, and I tell her, well, okay, let me meditate on this, because this is a little bit more than it's going to take more of my energy than a reading.
Yeah.
So I'll meditate on it for her, and I'll tell her something, and I don't have any proof, but she's like, okay, thank you, and then she goes and gets a reading. Okay,
Yeah.
Let's just say she goes and gets a reading. Well, she gets a reading, and the reader says everything that I said. This is nothing that I pulled cards on. This is nothing that I saw or I read or I saw on social media. This is things that my guides show me. So she gets the reading, and the reader confirms what I say. I'm like, okay, well then lo and behold, like 2 months after that, shit comes, to the light. And it's everything that I said that the reader confirmed, and then here's living proof. So I don't know, clairvoyance is it's knowing something. It's different than intuition. It's just, I wish I had more clairvoyant feelings than intuitive feelings, to be honest. But, spirit works. There's things that, tests, I guess, that I have to go through myself. But clairvoyance is just knowing. Like, I know, like, what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was like, I got a flash, or I got a feeling. I was like, I'm going to get me flowers. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, I come over, and there's, like, a beautiful bouquet. So I was like, okay, like, all right. I knew this. I kind of I pat myself on the shoulder because I knew it. I saw it. I don't know how. I don't know why. Spirit let me know.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always work like on command. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Clairvoyance does not always work on command.
It's not a light switch. Yeah.
No, it's not. And to be honest, a lot of people are like, oh, tell me this, tell me that, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes we're even blocked. For whatever reason, Spirit doesn't want you to know certain things because you have to go through that journey on your own.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Which is the reason why you're not giving my lotto numbers.
No, I can't do that.
Exactly. I know a lot of people can. Yeah, I know you can. I know it doesn't work that way.
It just doesn't work that way. If that was the case, and a lot of people think, oh, well, if you're a reader, then you should be rich, and you should have this, and you should have that. And it's not like that. I'm still a human being. I'm not superior. I'm not better. I'm not up there like that. I'm still human. I'm still like everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm just a conduit for Spirit, and I get to help people. That's what I do.
Now, let me ask you this: with being a clairvoyant, and we're talking about how sometimes you can't really control certain things. Have you ever had it come to you at a time that you weren't expecting and was not ready, and it was still too much for you?
happens a lot.
Like bad timing or something, you know?
Yeah, like I'll be sometimes even grocery stores, and I'll get like something will come through, and I'm like, I'm not gonna talk to this old person. Like, I'm gonna scare them. Like, I can't just run around like telling people, oh, this is gonna happen, or I have a message for you. I'm at least not ready like to do that. But there's a code. There is a spiritual code. So if like, you know what, going to bed too. A lot of times going to bed, like spirits will want to talk, and I'm just kind of like, I can't talk right now. Like come at me tomorrow, and they leave. Like, there is a code. Yeah. If you're adamant and you're strong about it, the spirits do need to leave. But yeah, they come sometimes where you don't expect it, and you're just kind of like, all right, like, okay.
And to all the people that are non-believers, I can trust you. She's not a schizophrenic. Okay. For the non-believers, she's not. I know that. Yeah, I don't want people to think she is. Who don't believe. Trust me, she's not. So I had to put that out there for you. I had to put it out there.
I've been called worse. Get this, it wasn't even that bad.
Well, let me ask you this: when it comes to this, I mean, I'm just curious. Have you ever had an instance of something like this where it was maybe something bad came through to you that kind of scared you?
Well, what do you mean, like during a reading, or like my own like spiritual stuff that I do at home? Like
you see at a store and something would start talking to you, or something comes up, whatever, something like that, like just out of the ordinary that just comes through that maybe it's a bad feeling about, or you just, okay, I want it to go away. I don't want to hear this, that.
Well, like doing readings, and I think one thing that I'm most proud of is that I don't sugarcoat. Like, if you have a hex on you, you have a hex on you. If your boyfriend's cheating, your boyfriend's fucking cheating.
Yeah.
I don't sugarcoat anything. So a lot of times, sometimes when I am doing readings, like, I'll start to feel really nauseous, and I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? Like, I'm cool. Like, why do I feel really sick? And, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, somebody's getting work done on them, or they have an attachment, and that's, you know what I mean? Like, the energy, I can feel a negative energy, and, I do share that. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna do your reading and I'm not gonna tell you, because no, that's not how I work. That's not how spirit works. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of times, like, shit comes through, and I'm just like, oh man, like, and you can feel it, and you, right?
Yeah.
People, okay, so how do I put this? When you go to a place and and you see some people, and sometimes you get you can feel like your guard go up.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You can feel it. So a lot of times that's your shadow saying there's something off. There's something, there's something there that either you have within yourself, right, that you need to work through, or there's something that is not so good about the other person, and that's where you need to go in and say, like, okay, is it me? Why don't I like this person? Why? You know what I'm saying? And then if you can't really find an answer, then there's really something wrong about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's
wow. That's that's some crazy stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm just thinking for a moment. Like, I could picture a lot of people going like, oh, this woman's giving me, reading, you're giving this woman this reading, and you're like, you're feeling all this bad stuff. And I could picture someone going like, oh, I better not tell her this, because what if it causes issues and she doesn't want to come back, because I'm telling her boyfriend's cheating, or this and that is happening, whatever. I mean, I'm glad that you keep it real to the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have to, because I know, when I get a reading done, I want to know the truth. I want to know, is my dude cheating on me? Are my kids okay? Like, is my health okay? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need to ask if my dude's cheating.
No, you got a good guy. I know he's a good guy.
But you know what? To be honest, those are most of the readings. Like, it's a lot of relationship advice, and a lot of women, to be honest, and here's some, this will save you some money. If you want to do a reading to see if your guy is cheating, why are you with him? Please don't come to me asking me something like that. Like, you're
like, check his phone or something.
Like, dude, you are in this relationship. This is what you chose.
Yeah.
Why do you want to? If he's cheating, if you're asking me, guess what? More than likely he is.
Yeah. If you can't trust him like that, then why are you with him, right?
Yeah. And then that, that takes the whole, a lot of the women that I get readings from, or that I do readings on, they're very insecure. Most of them, let's just say most, not all of them, but most of them are very insecure, and they just don't know how to love themselves.
Yeah. And okay, and let me ask you this. So let's say, for example, you, like we just talked about, you do a reading and like you talk about, there may be somebody's put something on them, or you feel something bad or something evil or something that's hindering them. Now you're doing a reading. So what do you do at that point? What do you do? What can you do to help them?
So let's, which, I've been going through some of this for some of my friends anyway. It depends on, like, let's say I'm reading for a novice, somebody that really doesn't know much about the spiritual stuff, and I can have them light a candle. Like, I try to give an antidote. I try to give them homework so they can work on themselves and work on the situation. I know on my page I joke about hexing and doing all sorts of black magic and shit, but let me tell you, nobody's worth that energy from me. Nobody.
Yeah.
But I will do my best to give a prescription as to what they can do to get rid of it, heal themselves, protect themselves. And, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't make them drink. So either, they believe me, they don't, whatever. When they come back because they didn't do what I said, then I'm just kind of like, I already told you, like it's like scolding a child, like,
wow.
But I'm here, I'll help you, I'll do what I can, but I can only do so much.
Wow. I'm gonna share something with you since we're talking about this, and this is, again, I bring stuff like this up because over so many years, like I said, there's certain things have gotten me to believe the things that I believe now. And I always used to hear like, oh, so-and-so, I know, I found out he put something on me and whatnot. And I would say, yeah, right. Okay. And I'm going to bring a story with you and kind of give your input and let you know how made me open to this stuff of people putting things on other people. I worked with somebody who, her marriage was kind of not going too well at the time, whatever, and she came to a point where she was having a lot of issues, and then all of a sudden, her mother-in-law kept getting involved in the relationship. Sometimes that mother-in-law that's got to be involved in it because he's a mama's boy and everything. So she told me, she goes, I told his mom that I was thinking of divorcing him. Okay, and this was a good friend of mine at the time, and so of course I listened. I'm like, oh wow, okay. And then I noticed that she would come to work, and while she was at work, you could tell that she was like, it's almost like she's running to the bathroom to go throw up like 2 or 3 times a day. A couple of days went by, maybe I've got the flu, I don't know what it is. Went to the doctor, I'm fine. Pregnancy test, I'm fine. And then she started getting worse and she could not eat. But she said that whenever she was back at home, she didn't feel sick. She goes, I think I have some kind of mental problems. It's only when I'm at home, I don't feel sick. So it started getting worse. And I had a coworker go, you know what? You have something on you. You definitely have something on you. They're like, no, I don't. And she goes, yes, you do. And I remember she gave her information of somebody to go to. After about a week or so after that, of her feeling worse, sicker, she couldn't eat, she went to for somebody and says, look, I think there's something on me, whatever. The person absolutely knew what she had. She goes, your mother-in-law put something on you that you're only happy when you're near your husband. So when you're away from him, your health gets worse and you get sick. And she did a cleansing, and overnight, in a matter of the same day, it stopped. And then she confronted her mother-in-law, and her mother-in-law finally broke down and admitted that she went to somebody, and that's exactly what she put on her. So to me, when she's telling me this story, I was like, what? Is this true? And the reason why I say, this is my experience. I saw this person come into work, and I saw how sick they were getting. I was the one telling them, hey, you should go do this, you should go do that. Are you sure maybe you don't have, medical side of me, I was saying, you sure you don't have this and have that, and there was no other explanation for it. And after that, she was fine. It was like she was a new person when she came in the next day. She actually took a couple of days off from work in between because she was so sick. and she told me what happened. And I remember thinking, wow, this is pretty powerful. So I'm bringing this up because do you run across these kind of things like that?
Oh yeah, I'm yeah, definitely. Been working on a client for a while now. You know, these things are real. Like words of advice when you're doing your little one night stand. Take all your shit with you. You don't want to leave anything there because you can use those people's items to put holes on them to make people like the shit's real. And you can, you know, the non-believers can laugh and that's fine. But when shit happens to you and you're asking, you know, for spiritual advice, just remember you were laughing.
Wow.
But yeah, like I have a friend that, you know, a woman did, he left his choninos, okay, cochino. He left his chonis with her and she did a binding, a holding down. And, you know, it turns out like it's still there. And this was like 2-3 years ago and he's still getting sick. So, you know, like this stuff's real. It's, you know, relationship wise, a lot of women, like, you know, they do a lot of, I'm gonna help you guys out right now because a lot of women do come to the shop. A lot of women ask, how can I get him?
Yeah.
How can I do this? There's oils, there's candles, there's incense, you know. We all know women are crazy, okay? So throw a
what? I never heard of that.
Throw a little magic into it and you'll like, they're even more crazy. Like,
yeah.
So, you know, dudes, keep your clothes, you know, your hair that falls out, you know, like just mind your stuff, keep your stuff, because if a woman just so wants to, you know, make you obey them, because there is the obey candle, they will. Like,
wow.
They will. I had one girl come into the shop asking for belladonna, and belladonna is poisonous, and I was like, no, we don't sell that here. Like, I'm sorry.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'm telling you, women are crazy. Like, a lot of the, like, you know, there's a lot of women that are just wanting to better the relationship, which is awesome. But then there's like the women that are like, he left me and I want him back, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know, like
you shouldn't have to force it.
Know,
yeah, you shouldn't have to force it like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just like, dude, let it cut your losses. Find somebody else. Like, if he doesn't want you, and she's like, well, I feel he took him, and I'm like, I don't think he's like, no, honey, that's not how it works. Like, love yourself. You don't need to be wasting your energy into somebody that doesn't want you.
So with that aspect, we're talking about this. So it's great to assume, you know, of course, people, I'm listening to this as, you know, like everybody else. So it's safe to assume that you definitely don't do any of the black stuff.
No, I don't. Like I said, on my page, I joke about it. Like, heck this bitch. Like, to be honest with you, I don't have the energy. I'm not wasting my energy. I'm not going to take my energy and invest it into hurting somebody else. I would rather be productive. I have other shit I got to worry about. I have kids that I need to worry about. I have my own relationship that needs nurturing as well. Like, I have, you know, family, I have parents. I have the whole shebang that is worth my energy. And you know what I mean? Like, I don't do any of that. I don't recommend any of that. I joke about it because the shit's funny.
Mm-hmm, it is.
But it's funny. Like, I'm a hexer. I'm going to throw this bitch in a pot. Like, I joke about it all the time. But to be honest, no, I don't hex. I am a little bit on the darker side. I do use, you know, a couple decks I use a demon deck and I use a shadow deck that are a little bit darker. But I don't work with Baphomet. I'm not a satanic person. I don't do any of that. And I'm not a fairy either. I'm not light and love and sprinkles. I'm real. Like, yeah. I'm multi-dimensional. I don't hex. I think about it a lot, but I don't.
Wow. Well, you know, it's you know, this is very enlightening because, you know, everybody, I'm learning as you are listening as well. I'm learning about this, and you know, and I'm telling you, you definitely have a lot of information. I'm really learning a lot today. Thank you. Seriously, I seriously, me myself, I'll tell people this so you know. My wife actually had a reading with Nikki that was absolutely on point, and this is didn't even know her at the time. On point with how my wife is, and I thought it was freaking amazing. Just to add to all the other things that I've gone through the past few years, that I kind of go, I don't know if I believe this, and now I believe this, and I didn't believe this, now I do. So to me, you totally have 100% of my belief. Trust me, you really do.
Thank you. That means a lot.
And and everybody knows me personally, knows that DJ Medina is a hard person to get to sway very easy. I'm one of those people who's all about facts, proof, that kind of thing, so it really is amazing. One thing that really did that caught me, for my medical side, that I'm very interested in, and I'm sure my listeners are too, is your holistic approach to things, and you're being an alchemist and that kind of thing. Share a little bit more about that.
So let's see. I am a Kundalini Reiki Master, as well as a Usui Reiki Master. So there is a difference. Usui Reiki uses the energy of, the consciousness, the world, and Kundalini energy works on your own energy. I prefer the Kundalini. Kundalini means coiled serpent. So what that is at the base where your root chakra is, your Kundalini is coiled. And what the Kundalini energy does is it helps to raise the serpent, to go up and realign, open all your chakras. It's an energy healing. The Reiki goes to wherever your body needs it. And what a lot of people don't know, or maybe but most people don't know, that when you're upset about something, right? So you're upset, it's in your head, right?
Yes.
So it's in your head. Then you start to feel emotional about it. After you feel emotional about it, and if it's something that's not healed, then it starts manifesting in you physically.
Yes.
So a lot of people that have gallbladder, issues, whatever, that's your solar plexus. That's your anxiety. That's your worry. Solar plexus is your ability to give and receive happiness.
Yeah.
So, I go to the doctor still. Like, I'm not by no means telling you, I have a holistic doctor, and I have a holistic doctor, a spiritual doctor, and then the normal doctor that we have here in the United States. So I have all three that I go to. I don't discredit any of them. And, it's like I'll get an antibiotic, and then I will do Reiki as well. Same thing on my children. They get sick. Okay, you take your antibiotics, and we'll do Reiki just to help amplify it. And I'm not here to preach about pharmacy. I try not to take medicine. I don't take a flu shot. I don't, I do oils as much as I can. I do incense as much as I can. And yes, I carry around with rocks. I walk around with rocks. I have some rocks in my bra sometimes. I'm all about the crystals and the magic and the energies that they have as well.
Yeah, and and me personally, being Native American, we're really big on that as well. So I understand that. There's a whole, I really do get that. It wasn't until recently I got that really these are things that are around us in the world, that are in our environment, and they're there for a reason. You know what I mean? And we got with trees, herbs, everything. You know what I mean? So
yes, I have a ton of herbs.
Yes, and I'm sure the good herb too, right?
No, I can't. That gives me anxiety.
Does it really?
I can't even do that. Oh my God, it's bad. I think I'm having an asthma attack.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, there you go.
I'm not good at that. No, I'll have a drink or two, and to be honest, I don't even drink as much anymore. Maybe a glass of wine here or there, but I honestly like my crystals. I like my herbal teas, my oils. Obviously you met me working in the bar industry. And I don't know if you ever saw me. I was doing readings behind the bar.
Yes.
And
everybody, and real quick, everybody who's listening, I'm going to say this because it's pretty well known, at least by the people who are listening who know Nikki. know that, she used to work at one of the spots that I'm a resident at, which is Heads or Tails. A lot of you people know one of the places I'm at. That's where I met her. So that's a little background information. That's where I met her. Yeah. So she's come a long way. It's not bartending like that no more.
I was working there, and I was doing the holistic stuff as well. And when I left the bar, it was to pursue my holistic stuff.
Yeah.
And when I first started working at the bar in 2005, I was also a children's I was an assistant teacher. So, like, I definitely am well versed in a lot of different subjects.
Yes.
But yeah, working behind the bar, that was, if you look at it from a spiritual level, a lot of these people need healing. This is their coping mechanism. This is where, this is what their tools, this is the tools that they have, that they only know. And it took a lot out of me working there, because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, it was energetically draining for me. Like, I enjoyed most of the people that were there, because I've been there since 2005, and let's be honest, most of the people never left. Unfortunately, when it comes to spots like that, during the day you get the people that are there because there are some issues. At nighttime, you get the people there to party, But it's different during the day. During the day, you get any of my places, anybody, and you know this, when you at a bar and during the day, and there's some people that are there for quite a long time, there's some issues going on, and I'm sure someone like you would totally absorb all of that. Yeah, and so I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was bartending there because I enjoyed being out, at night in the nightlife. I was working because I'm a mom, so I was working. I was still part of the night scene, and that's like, and I never drank on the job. I did like one shot, and I got yelled at because the owner saw me on the camera, and I was like, dude, like I did one shot after. But anyway, I was like, okay, like I get to be out, I still get to socialize, but I'm making money. So it was like a win-win. But then the energetic toll it was taking on me, like I couldn't take it on anymore. Like it was just too draining. And, I still have friends, more so acquaintances that still go there, and that's cool. That works for them. That's what, they don't want to change their ways, and that's fine. Nobody has to, but I can't do that no more. I don't knock anybody that does that. That's their choice. But it's something that I did outgrow. Yeah.
So, let me ask this too. So to kind of share what the experience is like. I know right now, being in an actual walking into a shop where Nikki's at is really hard because of course, COVID-19 and everything that's going on, locked, and how things are closed down. And the one thing good is that Nikki can actually still do your readings, which is amazing. So tell people how and here we are in the age of COVID-19, how you can get a reading and meet with somebody.
We can do them through FaceTime. We can do them through Zoom, the IG video chat, the instant messenger video chat. I also have WhatsApp. So I can do readings online. You don't have to be in person. At least right now, because I do have children, I'm not trying to do anything in person. Until things do clear up a little bit more. So yeah, I can do readings, and I can do them over the phone, but most of the time clients do want to see. So and just so you know, the reading isn't better or worse being in person or not in person. Yes. Because the message is still coming clearly, and it's still, it's coming through spirit. It's not coming through the phone. Like, that's not going to make a difference. Yeah,
exactly. I believe that. I witnessed that, so I know. Yeah, so which is good. So so basically, even in the middle of COVID-19, you're very accessible to people. I mean, you know, which is good.
Yeah, I especially being a parent, not knowing, the school year, things like that, like being cooped up, and I don't post my children on social media. I do have children, but, being a parent going through this, it's not easy,
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's really not. And I have children that, I think the youngest age I read for was like 12. So like, I can do, readings for the parent and also, we can hit the area for children if they need help. And I can also do Reiki, the Usui Reiki. That can be done long distance, and readings can be done long distance.
Yeah, which is good. So I mean, it's going to be the norm for a while for a lot of things. It keeps you safe and it keeps the other person safe, but they're still able to get the same thing if they walk right into a shop, which is amazing, which is good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this part. So aside from what we've kind of talked about, and I know me, I'm learning, and I'm trying to understand a lot of things. So what else am I missing that you do and aspects that I might be going, hey, I don't know this from that, but what else do you offer when someone comes to you? What else can you do for them? And I know I'm just touching the surface of it, but what else can they expect when they get a reading from you or guidance?
Well, each case is different, each case is different. Each prescription is different. Mm-hmm. Everybody is walking their own walk of life. Mm-hmm. And they're all on their own timeline. So, some people need more help than others. And it just, to be honest, each person that comes to me is different, and each other needs is different. And being as though I have gone through a lot on my own, I am able to empathize where people are in their lives, from divorce to death to, having relationship issues to being a mom, dealing with a difficult parent. Basically what I would do, each person varies. I would talk to spirit and ask them what they need. If they need a candle, if they need a cleansing, if they need to make a baño, if they need to meditate, if they need to do spell work. I don't ever want to leave anybody not better. I want everybody to leave feeling better and having an opportunity to fix what's going on in their life. Yeah. And so, I can help give direction. I can help give recipes. I can help, put everybody in the right direction, whether it's even diet. Sometimes people need to change their diet. Yeah. I'm not a nutritionist, but I'm well versed in eating because I like to eat.
Don't we all?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I do what messages come through, and like I said, I can't really tell. I can't tell you everybody needs this. And sometimes even when I'm doing readings, one of their guides will come through, or a past loved one will come through. So it just varies. Everybody gets something different. And that's only because your team, the person who I'm reading for, is allowing me to see certain things, or they're the ones that are, helping me. My guides work with your guides, and we move on and we see what's going on.
Yeah. It's amazing. And I want everybody to know this. Here I am, DJ Medina, for many years, was really closed off to this. And after so many years, I've a lot of stories like I shared, and then, more ones very close to home. I want everybody to know that I trust her so much that I'm actually going to, probably within the next week or so, I'm going to have her do a reading for me as well. My own personal reading I'm going to get from her. I'm going to sign up and I'm going to get a reading and see what she says. And I already know I'm crazy, so let's see what she's going to say. But, I got to tell you that I know people who've had readings from her, and they really did grow from them. And, like I said, even my own wife had one, and I could tell you that she was spot on, especially me knowing my wife's personality, which I don't think there's any woman who's not difficult, but knowing her personality so well, not so well, but yeah, I mean, it was really like, and it took me a long time because I've heard a lot about her for so long. And I would go, okay. Oh, you sure? Maybe? Oh, okay, yeah. I'm thinking to myself, it's just a gimmick right now. It's just, years ago I've heard, and I was like, it's just a gimmick. Yeah, sure. Yeah. But, I've come to terms that there's a lot of proof of this stuff, and I do understand, and me having opened up a lot, especially to my native side, I realize that there's a lot of my people in my family that have told me that we do have powers that have been passed down to us. And I realize that so many years, I've been able to read people and not realize it. I've kind of closed myself off and haven't done much with it. And sometimes to a point where someone can walk right next to me and automatically feel something that's going wrong with them. And I would go, hey, something's going on, talk to me. Well, how do you know something's wrong with me? I don't know, I just feel it. And I would just do that. You know what I mean? I would pick up on these little things. And one thing with me, which I'm sure that Nikki has a lot to talk about this as well, is dreams,
Oh God, don't even get me started.
Yeah, I was gonna say dreams is. I know me. I'm a very vivid dreamer, and I don't mind sharing this. My dad comes to me in my dreams and talks to me, and for many years I was thinking that it was just my own head, my own thing. But I was realizing as years were going by that he was talking to me about situations that are happening now. What's going on now? Like he's talking to me about my children and how to handle a situation and whatever. And I realized that, you know what? Yeah, my dad is, my dad is still talking to me somehow, and he's still talking to me through my dreams somehow. And it took me a long time to come to terms with that. I mean, years. I mean, he's passed away in 91, and here we are 2020, but it took up until recently, I think I embraced that. And I know you out of anybody who say dreams are one of the most powerful things out there that a human could have.
Dreams are definitely the easiest way that spirit can communicate to you.
Yeah.
So even, let's say you're not even spiritual, guess what? When you are in that dream state, that is the way for them to send you messages and to get a hold of you. And, when you're lucid dreaming and then astral travel, which is a whole other, that's a whole other experience, which is real. Mm-hmm. It's once you open up that aspect of yourself to receiving that type of thing, mm-hmm. It's beautiful. It's like you unlocked Pandora's box. Like there's so much that you can learn about yourself, your own power, your own magic. Yeah.
And in that aspect of dreams, do you have, when people come to you, do a lot of them come to you with these dreams that they have that are just like, mm-hmm. is that a bigger thing than I realize, or is that
dreams? Yeah, it's a bigger thing. You're not the only one. A lot of people have dreams about. I want to say premonition dreams, or warning dreams, and there's, you can buy those books that are dream dictionaries. Those are totally cool, or you can Google your dream. I will have a dream and I'll pull cards. Like, that's just how I work. Yeah. People come to me and they're like, oh, I have this dream, so we'll pull cards on dreams. But dreams are something else, man. Like, and you don't even want to, I know I needed some advice in regards to work, or, and a situation I was going through, and I had a dream, and I was like, fuck, I was like, everything, I had pulled cards, and it made so much more sense to me, because I asked to see what needed to be seen. And so I got to see the behind the scenes, you know what I mean? Yeah. Things that were going on behind my back. And I was just like, whoa, it all makes sense, Because I had my suspicions, I had my feelings, and spirit provides. Spirit, if you ask, spirit's going to show it to you whether you want to see it or not. You know what I mean? The truth, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. And it's funny because, cool. I mean, if I look at this aspect, it kind of goes in with what you're saying. Is, see me, when I studied in college and everything I had to do for my education, I was very interested in dreams because I had very vivid dreams. So of course, get my credits while I get to enjoy a subject I like, and it's funny because it's like, really dreams are really help you get through life. It helps you figure things out. I mean, it's, and of course it works out where people say, oh, well, why do you get, medicine says, why do you get these dreams? Well, yeah, it's because you get dopamine that builds up and this is what happens, and it causes you to have these dreams and could be crazy. But I believe, yeah, that as an aspect of it. But me, I've learned that I can tell which ones are my crazy dreams, you know, and which ones are ones that I have my dad come and talk to me. I've been able to sift through it and go, this is just my typical system dopamine type of dreams that I'm getting when I'm in REM sleep, and then there's these dreams that I'm getting that are something totally different, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I'll tell people right here, when it comes to dreams, I'm a big believer in dreams, and so, you know, definitely if you got these dreams and you're trying to figure them out, Nikki is definitely somebody who can help you sift through that and understand. I mean, she just goes through everything, and that's why I have you on here, because I think you're absolutely amazing. I never had anybody like you on the show, you know. So then let me go into this too. Right now, with everything that's going on, just as a kind of a blank thing to say to people, when it comes to, you know, what's going on in the world right now. I mean, we live in some weird times, really weird times, sad times at one point, anxious times, you know, kind of maybe give us some advice to people that, you know, that you, Nikki Supreme, you know, use in your own life to deal with a lot of stuff going on.
Oh boy. Well, in regards to COVID, I was scared. You know, I have three young children, and my youngest is 4. And so this whole COVID thing kind of, you know, ruined their school, it ruined their upbringing. From a spiritual perspective, you know, this is a time where we go inward. This is a time where we work with ourselves, where we learn ourselves, where we want to go through those triggers that we've been putting off. This is a time for us to figure out, you know, when the economy, when the world picks up again, what it is that we want to do. It's a time to love ourselves, you know, learn our self-worth. During this whole COVID, you know, domestic violence has gone up. A lot of divorce has gone up. So it's making people see some things that they refuse to see, or go through things that they, you know, situations that they should have left a long time ago. So yes, it's uncomfortable, but these are all growing pains. And, you know, from a spiritual perspective, you're not going to grow unless you go through some challenges and you don't go through, you know, some shit. So, yeah, it's hard. These are, you know, trying times, but it's all, whether, you know, when this whole pandemic began, I pulled some cards, and the cards said that pretty much Earth, Mother Nature, was pissed off at us because we have all these forces, and we have, you know, the humanity has gone down, and nobody's helping each other. Everyone's just letting one another fall. And so this is kind of like Mother Nature's payback, whether this disease or virus was made in a lab or if it was man-made, because who the fuck really knows at this point?
I know, right?
We all have speculations, but at the end of the day, you know, and this was even astrologically, like every 1920, you know, 1920 was the plague for the Spanish flu. 1820s, there was some other bullshit. What was it? I
can't remember if it was the Black Plague.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And then the 20s was the 1920s was Spanish flu. Look, here we are, 2020, and it's COVID. It's like astrology, spirit serves us lessons, and if we don't learn, you know, we repeat it. And so obviously, it's every 100 years we still haven't learned shit. So we're going back through some other bullshit, and it's not just. It's collectively, so it's not just here in the United States, although some other countries are just way better than us. But that's just it. Like, we're supposed to work together to find a resolution and have compassion for everybody, because nobody knows what, you know, Lou is going through, or what I'm going through, or what, you know, Sally down the street is going through. Nobody knows. So this is a time for us to be humanitarians and, you know, remember everybody's going through shit, and try not to judge. And this is, you know, if we want, it sounds stupid to say this, but if we want this to go away, we want this to be fixed, there has to be compassion for everybody.
Yes, I agree. Yes. So that's what I love. I mean, it's teaching. It's basically boiling down to, you know, love. I mean, like you said at the beginning, love each other, have compassion,
love each other,
have empathy, you know, and yeah, that's my opinion. You know, me and people. I'm not a psychic by any means or anything like that. I'm not trying to give reading. But it's just like, to me, it's just like, God, it's so dark these days. I mean, the way you see how people act and what they do, it's like, man, what happened where things just went so sour so quick, you know? And to me, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, look, we have COVID-19 that came out of nowhere. And like you said, made out of lab or not, you know, boy, we're sure reaping the benefits of it. And I think maybe if we were different, people were being a little different, maybe we wouldn't have had it so bad, you know? And
I agree.
And it's crazy because whether you're rich, whether you're poor, doesn't matter. Male, female, COVID-19 does not discriminate at all.
No, nope, it sure doesn't.
And it's reminded everybody. It reminds me that we know that we're all the same. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what color you are, your creed, nationality, ethnicity, we're all the same, and we're all hit with one thing. And to me, I keep hoping that when we come out of this thing, that maybe when we come out of this and that we're able to deal with it, that maybe the world can be a little closer. You know what I mean? And maybe
I agree.
Because we've all shared this. You know how they say we all went to they say, oh, we've been to war together, we've been through shit together. Well, we've been through COVID-19 together, so we almost didn't make it. A lot of people didn't make it, but we're still here. And maybe we can fix things and act a little bit right and show a little bit more love to each other, compassion, understanding, you know, which is what you teach and what you preach as well. So, you know, that's DJ Medina's take. Don't, you know, I'm just telling you, I'm not the expert, Nikki is, but I'm going to tell you.
I'm not an expert.
Well, to me you are, because I mean, this is what you do, you know what I mean? You know, this is your job. You know what I mean? There's policemen. There's this is you guide in this aspect. So yes, you are the expert to me. You know. So
well, thank you.
So people are probably listening. You know, I could go on and on about this because Nikki is a plethora of information, and just talking to her is absolutely just. I mean, you can get just enthralled in it because she's got such good messages and the stuff that she knows and the information she can pass and the stuff that she can teach you. So please tell people, my listeners, and right now I've got to be somewhere between 22,000 and 24,000 listeners. Don't quite know yet, but we're probably around there right now. So with everybody listening, all over the United States and all over the world who tune in, how can people find you? And how can people book you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Nikki Supreme. And my website, which is almost finished, is brujaskiss.com. And you can book an appointment that way. I don't do Facebook right now. That's like my personal stuff. So if you're on my Facebook, then you should feel special. But that's where you can find me. I have less than like 200 people on my Facebook.
I'm on there, people. I made the list.
You did. But Nikki Supreme on Instagram or brujaskiss.com.
Brujas Kiss. I love that name.
Thank you.
I love that name. So that's Brujas Kiss, people. People who don't know that, my non-Spanish speakers. It's Bruja, okay? Brujas Kiss. That J is an H sound, yes. So Brujas Kiss, and that's how you can find Nikki. And she has her website, and on Instagram, I'm telling you, follow her because she posts up a lot. She posts up a lot of stuff. Very inspirational stuff. You're just that kind of person that you're always full of positivity, and I love that. I love that about you. And you got to check it out, people. And then there's a little thing I want people to know that's going to come soon. But I've talked to Nikki, and what she's going to do is she's going to be on Funk Fellas Radio doing a weekly forecast very soon. And this is going to be a weekly thing to kind of give you an outlook of the week of what's going on, things you need to hear, whatever it is. She's going to give a small one every week, and I'm really looking forward to that. So everybody when you listen to the radio like you do 24/7, make sure you listen in because it's going to be coming up, and I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm super excited. I'm going to pull cards, and I'm also going to give you some key dates for that week. Sometimes, some days are not good for making business transactions, and, some days are good for making business transactions. So it goes off the astrological aspects as well.
Yeah.
So it should be really, really helpful.
Yeah,
really
definitely.
helpful for people.
Yeah, and right now we need it. Everybody, Funk Fellas Radio, we're all about making things better and any kind of positivity and good information. Believe me, Nikki's the kind of person that definitely has the right message. So I really, really appreciate you being on the show, and I hope I can get you on again, because I'm telling you, I'm just totally, I'm enthralled with all this, and it just really, I'm really interested in what you do and trying to understand, because everybody who's listening, I know a lot of you might know more of what she does and how she does it, and some people like me are trying to know and understand and been through situations where you kind of go like, wait, you know what, maybe there is people who have these powers and have these gifts, and I totally give you 100% credit. Now, 15 years ago, I might not have done that, but I've been through things in my life, and me being the age that I am, I'm not ashamed. Everybody knows on here I'm 47, but one thing I have learned through life is to sift through bullshit and to accept certain things. Even I might not quite understand them, but I know that they're true. And that's one thing that I got to say about what you do and people like you, because I've witnessed so many things over so many years that I really do believe that people can put things on you. I believe that people can, that people who have deceased can come back and talk to you. I believe that, dreams can be interpreted. I believe that you could be intuitive and you can grab all these things and see what's going on with someone's life and give them an outlook that they're not able to get for themselves. So in a way, you're kind of a spiritual doctor is what you are. There's doctor for the body, and you're one for the soul and for the spirit, to kind of get you on the right track sometimes. And sometimes what I like what you do is basically you're able to help people with the information that they already have and they know, and put it into a better light for themselves to understand and to move on.
Yeah, that's exactly. Every case is different, and everybody's different, and nobody's better than anybody. We all go through shit, and some people are equipped and they have better tools and they're able to handle things, better than another person. And I've seen a lot of things, and I just really, I really want to help people that need that tool that they don't have.
Yeah.
And being a spiritual facilitator, it takes a toll on you sometimes, but
yeah.
At the end of the day, like, I'm good with spirit, I'm helping people on their path, and you want them to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for what you do. I got to just tell you that. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that I have been able to cross your path. I mean, really, I really thank you for that.
No, thank you. I'm completely humbled by this, and I'm just grateful that I can share. If I can impact and help anybody, then I know I did my job.
Yes.
That's what I'm here for.
Yes. She's a very good soul. She's really good at what she does. And again, you go to brujaskiss.com, follow her on Instagram, Nikki.Supreme. You got to follow her. And on top of it, too, you're absolutely a beautiful woman and a beautiful soul. I got to tell you that I know her boyfriend, and I got to laugh at this, because I'm thinking to myself, he must be thinking sometimes, I better watch everything, because this woman must be reading me all the time, which women are always trying to read us. You know what I mean? So
no, what's funny is like I think, like, he has his own little thing, you know what I mean? Like, he's got his own little magic. He does his own little thing. Like, he's got good intuition, like, and we talk about it. Like, I'll pull a couple cards here and there, and, like, I wouldn't do, and, like, I've never done a love spell. Let me be honest. I've never done a love spell. The only love spell I have done for myself was to give me love that I deserve. That is what I asked.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, like, I have an amazing man who can tolerate my crazy. Like that's what Spirit gave me, is a man who can tolerate my level of crazy. And you know what? Like, he knows I won't do anything for him.
Does he ever joke with you? Does he ever joke with you and kind of pull a card out and go, "Oh wow, the card says tonight you have to make me a 5-course dinner. I saw it. You got to make it."
Well, first of all, I cook for him all the time. But you know what? Like, he doesn't really like pull cards, or I mean, he's seen me. You know,
I'm just joking.
He's seen me do my classes, but like, if he were, you know, it would make me laugh. You know, to see. How he would interpret certain cards, like, and you know what? Maybe what if he got them all right? Like that would be some shit right there, right?
Yeah, right.
I'd be like, oh shit, just put me in check,
right? Yeah, don't share too much with him. You don't want to make him too powerful. You know what I mean?
But you know, I do think that he's gifted. But and I think maybe. You know, maybe being with somebody like me I think it's opened him up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not that he
definitely.
Was, like skeptical before, you know, he was just a little bit more standoffish because, you know, most people fear tarot or witchcraft or things like that because of the unknown, because they're uneducated in the subject.
Yes.
So with him, you know, I'm pretty sure he's never really dated a person who, I label myself as a witch. I'm not like a black witch riding on a fucking broom. That's not what I do. I have an herb garden. I have oils. I do light candles. And incantations and spells are very similar to prayers. So I do think that I awakened him, you know.
Hey, you know what? You know what could be worse than being with the witch is being with the bitch, right? So hey,
that's true. That's true.
See, there you go. There's a light side of it.
Yeah, I'm just a witch. I'm not a bitch. It's cool.
There you go. That's you got to see on the light side. Well, that's crazy. Well, big shout out to him. I know him. Big shout out to him. You know, thank you for you know, making this woman happy, because she deserves it. And you have a good guy, and he has a good woman.
I do.
Yes,
I'm blessed.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes. So, you know, thank you so much for being on. And like I said, everybody follow her. I'm going to say it again, Nikki.Supreme on IG. And that's Nikki with 2 Ks. BrujaSkiss.com. Definitely get a hold of her. Get her booked. And I'm telling you, it will be worth it. She's very reasonable with prices. I got to tell you, because I've seen some stuff where it's outrageously priced. She takes her time, she does her stuff, and if she might go over, she goes over a little bit. She does what she needs to do, and she shares her message, and she's doing it from the heart. So I'm telling you, it is worth it. DJ Medina approved, Funk Fellas Radio approved. So definitely, please, in times like this, whatever, if you need some guidance and you're not getting it in other aspects, she's one you can go to. I promise you. That's my Yelp review right there.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I thank you so much. And so, you know, Nikki, we still got a couple hours of the show. We're going to do some music, and, you know, and now I'm going to do what I do best, and that is making people dance and groove in their seat. So I'm going to do that for a couple hours. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And you want to give a shout out or anything to anybody before we go on to the music?
No, just my kids. I love them, and that's it. My boyfriend, obviously, but he's been part of the show.
Yes. And also, too, and remember, people, she will not give you your lotto number, so don't ask. Don't book her for that.
No, please don't ask me that. No, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen, because if that's the case, she's going to come to me first, just so you know. All right, people? I get the lotto numbers first. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being so informative.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. This is Nikki Supreme. This is DJ Medina. Let's do this. Funk Fellas Radio, the Lockdown Show.